You know, it's funny how sometimes the biggest discoveries don't start with some grand epic quest. They start with a simple, quiet moment of, hey, wait a second. So today, we're going to dive into a kind of intellectual detective story. It's about a researcher who stumbles upon this hidden connection, a link stretching across centuries between two absolute giants of Japanese Buddhism. It's a story about how a text found its reader, and in doing so, revealed the true shape of a spiritual lineage. So it all kicks off with this line. It's from a pretty rare Tendai Buddhist text, and it just hits you, right? This idea of how incredibly unlikely it is that we're even here, in this human form. It's a thought that really sets the stage for discovery that's, well, even rarer. And here's the thing. The person who uncovered all this wasn't even looking for it. He was working on something completely different, asked a friend a pretty simple question, and in return, this text just sort of found him. It arrived out of the blue and kicked off a journey he never, ever saw coming. So he starts reading this text, which is attributed to Saicho, the founder of Tendai Buddhism in Japan. And as he's reading, he gets this jolt. It's that weird feeling of déjà vu. It wasn't just the specific words, it was the rhythm, the flow, the whole structure of the argument. It felt deeply, deeply familiar, and he just couldn't shake the feeling that he'd seen this exact shape of thought somewhere before. And then, bam, that vague, nagging feeling of familiarity just clicks into place. It sharpens into this crystal clear moment of recognition. I mean, this is the kind of aha moment that researchers live for, right? When a faint echo from the past suddenly becomes a loud, clear voice speaking right to you. And the question that just explodes in his mind is this. Wait a minute, didn't Nichiren write this? Now, Nichiren is another massive figure in Japanese Buddhism, but here's the catch. He lived 400 years after Saicho. How on earth could his writing feel so identical? This was the mystery that lit the fuse on the whole investigation. So you can just picture him, right? Scrambling to his bookshelf, pulling down his copies of Nichiren's writings, looking for one specific letter. He had to see them side by side. Was this just a feeling, a coincidence, or was there a real, tangible connection between these two masters, separated by 4 centuries of history?
And when he puts them next to each other, it's stunning. The parallel is almost perfect. Both texts use this incredible 3-step buildup. Step 1, it's rare to be born human. Step 2, it's even rarer to encounter the Buddha's teachings. And the final crescendo, Step 3, the absolute rarest thing of all, is to encounter the Lotus Sutra. It wasn't just the same ideas, it was the same rhythm, the same escalating intensity. The whole rhetorical blueprint was identical.
Okay, so once the initial shock wore off, he started to dig deeper. Was this just a one-time thing, a fluke? Or was this pattern, what he started calling the doctrinal heartbeat, something fundamental to Nichiren's way of thinking? And it turns out it wasn't a fluke. Not even close. He found the exact same 3-part structure popping up in other major writings by Nichiren. It was there late in his life, and you could even see it in an earlier text, kind of like a seed that would later blossom. This was a core part of his intellectual architecture. And get this, when he stripped away all the unique metaphors and specific details, when he just looked at the bare-bones structure, the foundational blueprint of the argument, he found a 90 to 95% match, a near-perfect alignment between Nichiren's framework and the one Saicho laid out centuries before. The way he described it is just perfect. He said it felt like listening to 2 different instruments, played centuries apart, but they're playing in perfect harmony. It's not about copying, it's about resonance. It's 2 masters tapping into the very same melody of awakening. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that this shared structure, this doctrinal heartbeat, is pure Tendai. It comes directly from the school that Saicho founded. And what that means is, if you really want to get Nichiren to understand the shape of his thought, you have to start with a solid understanding of Tendai philosophy. And this is where the story gets even bigger, because this realization just blows the whole thing wide open. The connection isn't just between 2 men. Saicho and Nichiren are 2 crucial links in a much, much longer chain, a living, breathing transmission of wisdom passed down through generations. I mean, you can trace this golden thread all the way back. It starts with Shakyamuni Buddha himself opening up the Lotus Sutra. Then it flows to the great philosopher Nagarjuna in India, then to China, where masters like Zhiyi and Zenryan systematized and refined it. Saicho brings that whole package to Japan, and then, centuries later, Nichiren inherits that entire lineage and makes it the heart of his own vow. Each one builds on the last.
Which brings us to the real heart of the matter, the ultimate question this whole discovery raises. When we talk about a bloodline or a lineage in this context, what is it that's actually being passed on from teacher to student?
See, the big insight here is that the bloodline isn't a thing. It's not a secret book or a magic password. It is the living, dynamic expression of awakening itself. It's wisdom taking the shape of an idea. It's compassion taking the form of a letter. It's the very rhythm of a teaching, and the fierce commitment of a vow. And that's really the punchline to this whole story. The true inheritance, the real treasure that flows from one generation to the next, isn't just a collection of smart ideas. It's the shared experience of awakening. It's a direct transmission of what it feels like to wake up to the world. So this leaves us with something to think about for ourselves. This idea of a doctrinal heartbeat isn't just for ancient Buddhist masters. We all inherit traditions, right? Ways of thinking from our families, our work, our passions. So what's the underlying rhythm, the core beat of the traditions that have shaped you?